is fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them. Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up top.
Oh my God!
Oh, big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
It's very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?
The following is a presentation of the iRacing Esports Network.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are tuning in right around the world. Welcome to SimSpeed TV. Welcome to our Friday night double take. An iconic night ahead of us today. VRS GT Sprint Series first up at the famed Mount Panorama circuit in Bathurst. And then at 9:15 Australian Eastern Standard Time, we are going NASCAR Truck Series racing at Talladega. Joining you throughout the evening be myself, Ryan Jones, with Simon Mazzomo alongside me, and Scott Fontaine behind the scenes. It should be a good evening here, Simon.
Yes, of course, we're heading to the iconic Mount Panorama. Obviously, everyone in Australia loves this joint, and what better to have around here than the powerhouses of the GT3 cars? So, yes, be very, very, especially for the first part, be a very exciting race for this one.
Certainly shall be. Now, Mount Panorama is very famous right around the world. Of course, it hosts the Bathurst 12-hour each and every year for the last 5 or 6 years, I believe it is now, after graduating from a production race into GT machinery. It's been growing year on year and is now one of the crown jewels, in my opinion, of the GT calendar, kicking off the international motorsport year almost. And it is a very good race every single time because it is hard to pass for half the circuit. The other half of the circuit, down the bottom of the mountain, plenty of overtaking opportunities, and the high speed run through the kink into the chase is where drivers are really able to showcase their bravery as well in these cars.
Yeah, exactly, and it definitely favours itself to different sort of cars as well. I remember I've gone to one 12-hour before, and yeah, fantastic event. But yeah, like as you say, across the top of the mountain, very tight, hard to pass. The tighter, nimbler cars like the Porsches and stuff are a lot quicker across the top. Be the BMWs in this case, obviously our smaller, more nimbler version, so they'd be quicker across the top of the hill, but definitely lends itself to cars with a bit more straight line speed. So the Mercedes, the McLarens, that's going to be where their strengths are going to play out, is the run up mountain straight and then the run down Conrod.
So qualifying is currently underway, a very long lap time here, which means no margin for error if you want to get both your laps in as well as the outlap as well. We're currently watching as Reese Gasul makes his way down to the mountain, on board with him as he throws it through the dip. But this part of the track all about momentum and being as fast as you can without scraping those fences. Because if you miss your line above the slightest margin, it'll be very easy to rub the side of the car up against the concrete walls, which, while you can get away with a slight scrape, in qualifying it will invalidate your lap time.
Yeah, that little 1x, that 0x in this case, even though you don't touch the wall, just a little bit of slight contact just invalidates your lap. So it's that bit where you got to commit 100% to get the time across the top of the hill. But obviously you broach that wall a little bit too hard, it'll obviously invalidate you for you. So looks like we've got John Piesnik coming to the line at the moment. So soon we'll see what time he can put away. He will go straight to the top with the 202.8, but Reese Gasul coming across to the 202.1. So that's a very quick time straight out the box.
Certainly is. It's very good for him. 7/10 margin over the field after lap number 1. Then let's go take a look at some of the other drivers out there. Dylan Shepherd in the number 16 hasn't actually ventured out into the track, which is disappointing because he has got a lot of pace in that car. Ronnie Barman currently sits in 3rd place at the moment, the 2029, so just off the front row at the moment. So he makes his way out of the cutting and now on the run up the hill. Let's see how he fares. Under the tree, big slide. That was a lot of wheel work going through that Ferrari 488 to try to wrestle that thing away from the fence.
Yeah, definitely a lot of control to hold on to it. Across the top, it's very, oh, he's got his wheel out into the grass a little bit. You can see he's fighting this thing across the top of the mountain. This is going 10/10 all the way. He's trying to get every little bit he can out of it, driving the absolute wheels off this Ferrari right now.
The exit out of here, incredibly crucial, because if you mess it up, you hurt yourself all the way down to this insanely long Conrod straight, which has been shortened, don't forget, when it was first introduced way back so in the 1900s. And it went all the way from Forest all the way down to Murray's quarter, the final corner. But now the chase added in, and what a complex it is. Hard on the brakes, tip it in to the left-hand side. Try not to run it out into the grass, and then get it back to the right, carrying all the speed you can down into the final corner onto the circuit. Very easy to make a mistake and throw it all the way down here, but he gets it turned in nicely, runs it up and over the curb on the exit, and across the start-finish line, a 2:03.004. So he will remain in 3rd place as Riska Sul improves to a 2:02.0. John Piesnik improving to a 2:02.6, still half a second between them.
And see a few more drivers coming up the field at the moment. A few positions moving around, watching come to the line at the moment. Can't quite grab who that is, but yeah, we've got the times running in thick and fast right now. See, Christian Gruber has gone to P4 and all that with a 2:03.4. Oh, and it's been just jumped again by Sergey Haras. He's gone to P4 with a 2:03.4. So it's all happening right now.
19 drivers have set times, the minutes still remaining in the session, and Mitchell McLeod hadn't set one, he just set a time then. Goes P8 with 2:03.645. Big margin from 8th back to 9th. Very tight. 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th. They have 2/10 separating them. And then that massive margin separating the rest of the top 10.
It looks like who's coming down. There might be a few more people on laps at the moment. But so obviously we've got Slaven coming to the line as well. He's down in 16th at the moment. So just seeing what he can do at the moment, expecting him to pop up the timesheets a little bit in this one. He does. He'll come up to P9 with a 2:03.9. So picked up a fair few spots on that one. So a nice job there.
And the clock will run down on qualifying, and that will conclude the session. We'll get ready to go racing here at Mount Panorama. This is your starting grid then. Riska Sul, put it on the pole. John Piesnik will start alongside Roddy Barman and Sergey Jerez on row number 2. Christian Gruber and James Kutcher starting off 5th and 6th. Leo Misnaga and Mitchell McLeod on row 4. Slaven Brasina and Andrei Efименко rounding out your top 10.
Go to P11. Julian Kesselhut in there. Marcus Grobe in 12th. Florian Grabowski in 13th. Jordan Murphy 14th. Paul Rogers in 15th. Stephen Corbett in 16th. Again, Karakonstantis in 17th. Jose Rodriguez in 18th. Christian Korn in 19th. Alberto Torrens in 20th.
The last 4 drivers on the grid for this one are Liam Reston, David Pittard, Ray Cobbing, and Dylan Shepherd. Track temperature at the moment is 33 degrees, right in the middle of the temperature range. So might be a little bit greasy out there for these drivers. Just approaching 12:30 in the afternoon in sim time. Clear skies, the sun beating down on this racetrack. 40 minutes of racing ahead of us, an estimated race distance of 20 laps. they are going to need to make a pit stop at some point to chuck some more fuel in that car. As always, don't expect any tyres to be taken, because here in GT Machinery, it is not worth it with these short races. Quite a worrying message just popped up on our simulators there, Simon, didn't it?
Yes, a driver claiming that it's the first time here for them. So, yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, they've done plenty of practice, as we expect a lot of people to do when they do these races. Get plenty of practice in before they attempt them. So, I think they'll be fine. They'll manage this race quite comfortably. So yeah, just watching them all pull away at the moment. But yeah, no tire race in this one. It's probably going to be all for track position. So the guys up front, if they can get away and pull a good lead, they won't worry about pitting until the last minute. But guys that are sort of stuck in the mid pack or down the back, if they're getting held up in traffic, they might take the chance and go for a stop, try to get themselves a clear air. It's a bit of a travel time in this pit, so yeah, it can definitely give you a bit of room to to play that strategy card.
Not long to get yourselves sorted out into single file before you reach the heights of the mountain. So let's see who gets themselves into a good spot as we go green here at Mount Panorama. Good start for Reese Casul. Immediately slots into the racing line ahead of John Peasnick as they run through turn number 1. Hell's Corn on top 4 will run single file. Leo Misnaga side by side with James Kutcher then for P number 5 on this circuit as they run down a mountain straight towards turn 2. Kutcher will take it away.
Yes, and then we can see Mitch McLeod also having a look down the inside. He wants to take advantage of this as well. He's got himself to the apex. He looks like he's going to get that done comfortably. Does get that done. The whole field seems to slot themselves single file. Everyone sort of finding their own place in this one as we start to head to the cutting. As we begin our journey up the hill, everyone single file. Everyone's looking fairly good at the moment. There's a battle for position down the back. We can see David Pittard and Christian Korn having a bit of a look. It was a very brave move there from Christian up the inside in there, but managed to sort themselves out and get that through fine.
Ooh, big slide for Christian Gruber coming through McPhillamy Park, and now is offline. Oh, there's a crash up and over and under his roof, and going to be collected by James Kutcher. And a big rollover for John Peasnick and a bad rejoin. The track is blocked on the entry to the Dipper. A huge incident here on lap 1 of the mountain. They're still crashing as they try to find a way by. What a horrible spot to have a crash. And it all started with John Peasnick on his roof as they came down through the S's.
Yes, it looks like he's just caught the inside curb and that's just put him sideways. Oh, it's just so unfortunate. Everyone, you can see just everyone reacting to what was happening in front of them. You can see that, the BMW trying to get themselves going again has just bottled the whole field up. Fortunately, that was probably going to happen. It's quite hard to do when you get to that point and there's cars stuck either side of the racetrack. Very hard to sort of get through unscathed. And unfortunately, yes, quite a lot of drivers caught up in that one.
I think a rather poor decision from Kutcher to... I think when you have a look at the replay too of Jose Rodriguez down Conrad Straight, because he had an incident as well. I think a poor decision from Kutcher to try to get himself pointed in the right direction. He would have been safe-ish if he stayed where he was, or at least towed. As you see the replay of Rodriguez getting absolutely collected by a couple of cars down Conrad Straight there. But that's the dangers of the mountain here, Simon. Once you have a crash anywhere across the top, very easy to get collected. In those situations, you really have to just tow and get out of the racetrack as quick as you can.
Yeah, most circumstances, if you hit the wall hard enough here, chances are you've done significant enough damage. I could see this BMW, he's definitely done some serious damage to that car. That's probably a situation where you're better off towing, but yeah, if you hit the wall hard enough around here, you're going to do some pretty serious damage, so it's almost worth taking that tow. Instead of trying to sort of waste time, get yourself turned around, and then you risk getting hit by the other drivers as well, trying to make their way through. So one of those judgment calls you got to make. Sometimes you can get away with it and try and get yourself back in, but yeah, other times it's just make that call, return back to the pits.
Hard to judge from up here in the commentary box, but I'll do it anyway.
we do that. We do that.
in his defence. Here to the moment, very easy to just make that slight wrong judgment call, and in another situation, you may have been able to get that car put straight without much drama. So what that's caused is a massive spread throughout the field. Reese Gasol holding himself a 2-second margin to Rody Barman, about 46 seconds covering him, and David Pissard, who runs around in 21st place, last car that wasn't completely involved in that crash, as no cautions in official road racing here on iRacing, so those drivers that had to check up are going to have their work cut out for them to make their way back through the field. I think the biggest margin is probably going to be 9th to 10th. That's 7 seconds between them. That's where the massive congestion really started to form up, as Reese Gasol now starting a drive away up front. 2.7 seconds the margin, 4 seconds back to third. And probably not going to be the only time we have a giant crash like that tonight, Simon. Next up, we're going to Talladega and then NASCAR Gander Outdoor Class C Fixed Series.
Oh yes, the good old Dega, but we'll leave the excitement for that one later when that shows up. You can see Leo Masnega having a look at another driver at the moment. Mitch McLeod, by the looks of it, not sure. I think Mitch avoided most of that, but he's definitely under pressure at the moment. That BMW ranging up at the back of him, he's going to be where it has its advantage. The more nimbler of the cars, especially across the top of the hill, will make its presence felt. So bit of a gap stabilizing at the moment, but obviously we'll wait and see how these develops. A few battle packs will probably start to develop as the race goes on. Obviously everyone quite spread out at the moment, but still quite a lot of racing to go, about another 34 minutes, so there's plenty that can happen in this one. You can see up front at the moment with Sergi Harris looking at the back of Christian at the moment. So another battle that could eventually form into something. It's actually just noticing, yeah, the second, third, and fourth still quite close to each other. Obviously, that incident sort of happened outside of them, so
It was in front of them because it was Piesek that crashed from second to place, wasn't it?
it was kind of fortunate for them because he's gone into the
Quite
wall,
lucky, yeah.
and left the inside for them, so they've been able to get through sort of without an issue. But you can see Mitch again, very sideways out of the chase. That thing is not happy at all.
You see all that dirt on the racetrack too, out of the chase, heading towards pit lane on the left-hand side, Simon? Is that just me? It looks like a very dirty racetrack out there.
Wouldn't surprise me if it was. It's very easy to get dirt, and a lot of people abuse the inside curbs as well, especially in the chase. Everyone gets that inside wheel over the curb to help it turn a bit more through the corner, so it usually gets pretty dirty pretty quick.
Now, last time through this part of the track, through turn 2, Mitchell McLeod ran himself off the racing line, ran wide. That's what allowed Masnega to draw alongside him. This time he's much better off through Griffin's bend. Now, it's often underappreciated, I think, how hard it is to follow someone through the top of the mountain, and especially at a close range. That's why we saw Leo sort of drop off a little bit last lap, because there's no room for margin up here. There's concrete on either side. It's very much street circuit through this section on the track, which is often not actually picked up on, that this is a street circuit. These are public roads the rest of the year, aren't they, Simon? It's just not situated in a city, so to speak.
Just outside one.
Yeah, but it does mean that, yeah, concrete all around, and very easy to miss your turning brackets. It's incredibly high speed up there. You miss it by 5 meters, you're on the fence.
Yeah, and the one thing as well, in that we don't mention it a lot, but with these sort of cars, it tends to sometimes become a thing. Aero wash.
Yes.
Can't follow these cars as close as you would sort of say any other, like most of the other cars we sort of race on this service, especially obviously the high downforce cars. For example, we know aero wash is quite good for them, but these things, especially being such a high pace across the top of the hill, like once you sort of, like we're talking from Solomon across to Skyline, most of the time you're in 4th or 5th and you're almost just flat on that throttle across the top. You might brake a little bit as you sort of come across the top a little bit, sort of through the grate and up. You'll lift off the throttle a little tiny bit, but other than that, as we can see at the moment, there's a battle going here. Liam Reston's going to go for a pass. and will get that done quite comfortably. So on the move through the field at the moment, come up a few spots I've noticed in the last few laps. So unless Liam was caught up in sort of what happened in the start there, and now
Well, I
he's
think
just making his way through the field.
they were all caught up in the start, weren't they?
I mean, yes. Yes.
Track was blocked
Yeah.
from about 10th on back. But they both picked up a few spots, which is good. Restaurants come up from 21st to 14th, so he's your biggest mover in the field so far. And Korn, who's just gone by, is 19th to 15th too, so they've both done a very good job so far. Continue to watch their progress at the moment. Gap at the front has now opened to 4.2 seconds, so Reese Gasol is breezing away, and you can afford to take a few conservative lines around the racetrack. Just lost my train of thought for a second there. I was just looking at
It's not the first time.
cars further back in the field and thinking, hang on, that's not a GT car, but I think this delivery is throwing me off, I've got to say. Go look at a Cara Constantis car. He's running the Ford GT, but all chrome that he's running, and a bit of damage to the front end. It's an interesting shape on the front end of that car.
Yeah, I imagine that. Oh wow, that is a lot of chrome on that thing at the moment. Yep. The number 6 of Den Karanstantis, yeah, that's so beautiful to see those 4 GTs still out and racing in the VRS Sprint Series. But yes, there's a lot of chrome going on that thing at the moment. That's yeah, it's good. It's good. I like it.
Lean and Mean Chrome Machine. He's running in 13th place at the moment. To the pit lane comes Jordan Murphy, just ahead of him on the racetrack, brings his bright yellow and green Mercedes through the slalom course that is pit entry here at Mount Panorama. And he'll be one of the first people to make their scheduled stop into this race. In fact, might be the first. Someone's bowled a massive wide down at turn 1. Julian Kesselhart rejoining the racetrack from the outside. Looks like he's made the fence. We're going to replay up on screen of what's happened to that BMW. And he's made the fence in quite a big way as well. Take a look at this.
Yeah, just watching him coming out of the final corner at the moment, heading down the front straight. So, interesting to see what's actually happened here. Oh, a little bit of... so just lost the rear a tiny bit on entry. Hasn't really sort of made the apex at that point, but the rear's just come around. And not much you could do at that point. You carry a lot of pace at a turn 1, and there's not, as you can see, there's not a whole lot of gap between the track and the wall. So, unfortunately, he's made the distance and made contact.
28 minutes remain in this one. Still got 19 cars on the lead lap. Going to take quite some effort to go a lap down unless you make a mistake and find the fence here at Bathurst, being a 2-minute lap time. And when you do find the fence, watch out for cars behind. That's all we can say after that lap 1 calamity. That's caused that big spread on the field that we see already. So expect to see most of our drivers in the pit lane in the next 10 minutes before the fuel runs out. Good battle going on for 12th place. Christian Korn struggling a bit for some outright speed on the racetrack at the moment, and as a result, losing spots. He lost out earlier to... who was it? It was Liam Reston that went by him. Now he's got Paul Rogers right in his slipstream as they run it down towards the kink and into the chase. Does he go for the big lunge up the inside? He's a couple car lengths back. He shows the nose, but confidence on the brakes there for Christian Korn. Fends him off pretty easily, but if it's not the brakes, it's through the middle of the corners that he's not carrying enough speed and dropping a lot of time as Rogers will get closer still through Murray's corner, down onto the main straight. A little bit wide, and this might be the opportunity for Rogers as he pulls to the inside. They'll go wheel to wheel down into Hell Corner, and Rogers takes that spot away, puts himself up into P12, and Korn will lose another spot.
Yeah. Then we've got the run up the front straight to deal with, but we can see McLeod again under pressure from the BMW. He's hanging that thing right out wide. Mitch, once again, he only knows one way to drive, and that's absolutely...
Drunk.
driving the absolute wheels off the thing at the moment. You can see him hanging off the curbs. This battle is intensifying at the moment, but you can see as they head down the mountain at the moment, just trying to catch up to them again. So you can see Leo is all over the back at the moment. He's not going to have a look. He's going to save it for the run down the hill. Oh, Leo got it very wide as they came out of the final corner. Final corner. No, Forest Elbow. Onto Conrad. He had a very good, it looks as though he's going to set himself up for a very good run. But yes, it's very easy to do coming out of Forest Elbow. If you grab the throttle a little bit too early, it just wants to push you right out wide. And he's just killed that momentum that he had. But he's managed to catch up, and he's going to have a look, I think, down the inside. Well, Mitch let him have the spot, gives him room. Leo's going to get the job done.
Just an extra little dab of the brakes on the outside from McLeod to allow Leo through on the inside. And no point fighting. He's clearly got the pace, and they've still got the pit stop phase to come, both these drivers. So we'll wait and see how it unfolds throughout the last part of this event. And tyres aren't an issue enough to warrant a pit stop, but how hard and aggressive you are on them can still play quite a factor by the time you get to the end of the race. So we'll see if maybe McLeod's being a little bit more conservative on his tyres, although from what we saw across the top of the mountain, I probably wouldn't suggest it.
He's not. He is not. He'll be driving 10 tenths off that thing, so don't expect there to be any rubber left when this race is finished. So yeah, just looking at the Leo's car at the moment, it seems to be, apart from sort of the top 3 or 4 drivers at the moment, it seems to be one of the cleanest cars out there. And that front damage does not appear to really be affecting the straight line speed at all. But Mitch has actually managed to drag himself back onto the back of the BMW at the moment. Mitch, once again, getting very close to the walls as they come across the top of the mountain. That's where the aero rush will affect you the most. Got to go to pull that car up and rotate it across the top as they head down into the dipper at the moment. Mitch closing right up on the back. So I don't think this one is actually over with. I think Mitch is actually going to give him a bit of a challenge before we get to the pit stop phase.
Well, let's see, because the top of the mountain is very much about the confidence you have in your car or in yourself. It's very easy to make your way through there. Just lift off the throttle a bit extra, take a bit more leeway around the little bends in the run across the top. But if you're confident and you're committed, you can gain a lot of time across there, and in the long run, really give yourself a big advantage. So McLeod, as you just saw there, very committed into the chase as well. Definitely looks confident, but I do think he might be just suffering a little bit for some pace. Whether his confidence can overcome that, well, let's wait and see. All he needs is a mistake from Leo to try and get that around him. There's 23 minutes remaining, coming up on halfway into this one. Don't forget, it's the Friday night double take at 1:15. We'll be going live once again on YouTube. It'll be the same stream on Facebook and Twitch for the NASCAR Gander Outdoor Class C Truck Series from Talladega. There's some 3-wide action going on, and the big one, most likely as well. Really looking forward to that. Plus, tomorrow at 11 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, 9 p.m. Eastern American Time, top split of the NASCAR iRacing Open Series, also from Talladega. A lot of people expecting that to be a very big strength of field, but a lot of big name drivers from professional sim racing showing up to turn their hand, because the Coke Series isn't visiting it this week, which means NIS might be the next best shot to get their sponsors on the broadcast.
Yes, very much looking forward to the Coke Series. I've become a big fan of it in recent times watching it, so definitely enjoying sneaking in on my lunch breaks at work, having a bit of a look at what's going on. But there's a battle I was keeping an eye on as well between Paul Rogers and Christian Korn, and unfortunately that has fizzled out. Christian has actually, you were talking about the commitment across the top of the mountain. Well, unfortunately, Christian's commitment was a little bit too much and actually made contact with the wall pretty hard. Doesn't look like it's actually done a massive amount of damage, but it's enough to basically kill a lot of his pace at the moment. So he's dropped right off the back of Paul at the moment. So very unfortunate to see. He was doing a fantastic job, and that battle was definitely looking to develop into something that was going to be potentially going right down to the wire. But yeah, fortunately, very easy to make a mistake across the top of the mountain, and that's fortunately caught Christian.
Might have even tweaks his steering a little bit because the car doesn't look 100% comfortable anymore. Now, in terms of the scan of this track, of course, iRacing laser scans every single one of the racetracks it brings into the service, which means they are 100% accurate from the date they scan, and right down to the bumps in the racetrack, what the grass is, the runoff, the grandstands on the outside of the racetrack, the signage, every little thing, including the drainage system. And the reason I talk about that, Simon, and you're probably already cluing on as to why, because at Bathurst, there's a very famous drainage grate or drain cover or grate. Help me out there.
They call it the grate. Yes, that's what
Yes.
we call it. We call it the
what I'm
grate.
talking about. And it's
I get you.
just after Reed Park, and it's almost bang on the racing line. You tend to run your right side tyres just to the left of it, or even just over it. But if you get your line even an inch or so wrong, you run right on over that grate, and it will fire your car straight into the fence. You won't get it turned in, and you'll be in the wall, and we've seen plenty of big crashes up there as well. So, Mitchell McLeod almost found the fence. So, you know, even crazy little things like that, in terms of the detail, replicated here on iRacing, which is why, ooh, who's that? Who's that?
Sergey Harris.
And that's going to offer up a free spot to Leo Nisnaga and Mitchell McLeod, elevating them both inside of the top 5. What's happened to Sergey? I'll come back to my point then, just after this. Coming down through the mountain, into Forest Elbow, on the brakes, turns it in, rear end does not stick.
No, just very strange for it to let go at that point. That's at the point where you start to drive it off the corner, so unless he's given it a bit too much throttle. Just noticed he started to reverse a little bit just as Leo was coming around the corner. He just jammed the brakes on just in time. I'm not sure if there was actually contact between them, but yeah, it just almost caused a tiny bigger accident. We talk about just waiting that little bit longer to let the cars go through. So that's a situation where, yeah, maybe we would have just waited a little bit longer. We would have had the gap to go, but looks like a few pit stops starting to happen. Mitch is in the lane. Sergey will follow him, obviously. There'll be a bit of damage to that car at the moment, so they'll be maybe trying to get a bit of that repaired. So it's throwing this race on its head a little bit. That was obviously Sergey was part of that top 3 battle that was going on at the time. So pits are definitely alive at the moment. A few guys still staying out at the moment. From what we can see out of the leaders, Mitch would be the first of the, well, effectively the first of the pitters at the moment. Paul Rogers still staying out. So leaders haven't pitted yet. They're still circulating. So we'll see. With 18 to go, I think the pits will be looking a viable option for them at the moment.
To finish that point. Finish that point. Every little detail is scanned from real life into iRacing. That's why a lot of drivers use it as a trading tool before they come racing in real life. Not only for Bathurst, but for every track in the service. But it also makes it every bit as challenging as it is in real life.
Absolutely. It's having not long ago had a trip to Bathurst and managed to take a drive of the place. You sort of, you appreciate, it seems difficult on the sim to do it, and then you go try and do a lap in real life, and it's like, yep, this track is obviously incredibly challenging. It's as tight as what it appears on the sim, so definitely be a valuable training tool, especially for those who've never raced there before. It just gives you that little bit of an idea of what you're probably putting yourself into and the challenges that you basically go to face, especially across the top of the mountain. It is incredibly tight and incredibly quick across there. I think that's the thing that you got to sort of realize is you're carrying quite a bit of pace across the top, and kind of feel like people dramatize it and make it seem like it's such a big thing, but it really is. The pace across the top and the very limited room you have to move you got to take your hat off to the guys who can do it lap after lap, push 10 tenths the entire time, you know, and not make a mistake. It's a genuine challenge, and I think it shouldn't be overstated.
When you were driving in real life, what car was it? Was it Reliant Robin or Toyota Corolla? Were
I think
you?
it was like a Subaru something. I can't remember what it was. So I need all-wheel drive because we all know how bad I drive in the sim. So I need everything I can get.
Yeah. One of those cases where you're like, gee, I hope they're a lot better at real life than they are in the sim. 15 minutes remaining then into the race. Still waiting on our first 4 drivers to make their stop. And Andrei Efremenko as well hasn't come down into lane. He's 30-odd seconds off the lead. See if Reese Gasol takes the left-hand line. He doesn't. He's going to stay out for at least another lap. And they'll be getting towards the end of their fuel window if they stay out for another lap or 2 here. It'll be interesting to see, because the undercut's not really worth anything, given that the tyres aren't being changed in the pit stop. But clean air and a bit of a relief of pressure from a car behind you, that can make the difference if you pit early. So it'd be interesting to see if anyone, one of these early takers to pits, like McLeod, find any advantage here.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult to say considering just how spread out the field is. If you know, if the field was a lot more compressed, then yes, absolutely, there'd definitely be advantages in it. Just getting yourself that little bit of clear air, the tires cool off a little bit. You can give you the sort of a lap or two where you've just got that little bit more pace. But with the field spread out as it is at the moment, you'd potentially try and play yourself in, as we can see Jordan Murphy back into the lane at the moment. That'll be his second time in. It doesn't look like to be going anywhere at the moment, so I wonder if that's day done, if something else has happened. Definitely doesn't appear to be going anywhere, so I think that might be a mechanical issue. Going to try and track down what's actually happened there. Go back on replay. Have a look at David Pittard at the moment. Have a see. Oh, had a spin out of the final corner. Just gassed the throttle up, kept the spin going, and away he goes. Doing the old IndyCar trick. When they spin, they just put the foot back into it and spin it back around, and off they go. So, we should all famously remember when we did Surface Paradise. Rhino should remember this, when we did the Surface Paradise race. It was the Enduros, and we got the international drivers to come in. Remember, Jacques Villeneuve got turned around, famously just did the IndyCar move, because pretty sure that's what he was driving at the time, and it's just natural reaction for those guys. You just, once you spin, you
Up at
just
10.
put the foot back in and keep going.
Yeah, got collected by a couple of guys. Did a big career out on the spot up at turn 4 and 2010, I'm going to say.
I thought you were actually Googling it.
No, I'm doing that now.
No, you can do that now. As we can see, second and third into the pits at the moment. Reese Gasol hasn't pitted as yet. He's still motoring on. You can see, oh, and there goes Jordan leaving the lane at the moment. You can see Slaven Prisina in the lane as well. I can see behind him Florian Grabowski also to the lane. So everyone taking the stops now. They must be hitting the limit of how much further they can go on their tanks of fuel. So Reese obviously can squeeze a little bit more out of the tank at the moment. But obviously pit stops needing to happen at this point. So you can see Reese coming across the top of the mountain at the moment. Car is immaculate. I actually noticed the paint job in qualifying, and I have to say that just looks it's just quite an amazing paint job. I'm not gonna lie, I'm actually quite fond of it at the moment. It's, yeah, kind of appeals to my palate, as they say.
I think it was 2010 actually.
Oh, you figured it out?
I found a random YouTube video from 2010 that has the crash. So I'm assuming it was 2010.
So you can see Gasol entering the lane at the moment. Get his pit stop done, grab the fuel he needs to get back. Let's see, battle. Andre and Roddy having a battle at the moment. But would say Andre has not pitted at the moment. Christian Gruber as well, another driver that has not pitted second and third currently. They'll need to make their trips down the lane at the moment. So Ronnie currently over the back. And good to see that there's a Ferrari up in the top three. Love to see the prancing horse in a battle. And you can see Andre making his way to the lane. Christian Gruber as well making their way to the lane. So that will cleanse the field at the moment. Yes, that'll be everyone pitted. So we'll have Reese. Reese Gasol has pitted. Yes. Yep. Reese has definitely pitted. So yep, that is the field done. Everyone has pitted. This is the run home at the moment. You can see from here, everyone seems to be quite spaced out. Leo Masenga will come out in P4. So as we were sort of mentioning earlier, he was going to be making his way through the field. Got a bit of a helping hand from an incident involving Sergey. So he's obviously put himself up in the fourth place, but currently sits about 5 seconds back on Christian Gruber. So field quite spread out at the moment. Closest battle sort of see at the moment appears to be Sergey Harras and Mitch McLeod at the moment. That looks like that will develop into a bit of a battle. Sergey seems to be a bit quicker at the moment. That last lap was about 7/10 faster, so I would expect Sergey to be able to catch up to Mitch, potentially make a move, try to get himself back into sixth, try and recover some of those positions that he lost, but be a bit of a challenge to try and get to Leo with about 9 minutes to go in this race.
Yeah, Masnada did a very good job to contain Mitchell McLeod and opened up the gap, in fact, throughout the pit stop phase. Now 5 seconds separating them, and McLeod more likely to lose a spot than gain as Sergey Harras has closed in even further on this lap. On board with McLeod there, you can see no one in front of him, but if you look to his rear view mirror, it'll be full very quickly of the number 4 car as they run down through the chase. He'll be getting a slipstream even from that margin, closing him up even further. And look at that, even in the braking zone there, much more confident. It's only half a second separating them now. Going to be close enough almost by the time they get to Griffin's Bend here.
Yeah, I reckon by the time they get onto the mountain straight, they'll be looking for a move. As you can see, he's getting up quite close, but that's going to be the question though. Will Mitch try and hold position? I got a feeling he'll try, but whether or not it works or not, we'll soon see. Sergey got a lot of pace at the moment. We know, we saw earlier, Mitch's Mercedes is struggling for a little bit of straight lines pace. Sergey's has definitely got a bit of straight line speed. Mitch throwing out a little bit of a block there as they head up into turn 2. See Mitch driving as hard as he can. He was a little bit wide and he got wider again as he came out of 2. He's trying as hard as he can to hold this position. Sergey is just comfortably ranging up on the back. May not be able to get the job done across the top of the mountain, but I think Sergey's definitely going to have a look as they come down Conrod. And I think that bit of straight line deficit that Mitch has at the moment, I'm not sure if he'll be able to defend that from the BMW of Sergey.
Let's see as we get down a Conrod straight. Is he close enough to get a big enough benefit from the toe to potentially make a lunge down the inside of the chase? The exit going to be crucial out of Forest Elbow as my Obscure gets blocked by a bunch of trees.
I was going to say, Sergey actually made a little mistake coming out of the dip. He actually lost himself a fair bit of time there, so it gets Mitch a get out of jail card there, doesn't it?
It does for now. 6 minutes remain, so a couple laps still to come. These guys are 30 odd seconds off your race leader. Sergey again closes right up under the brakes at the end of the chase.
Listen to those beautiful sounds of that Mercedes. You can see Sergey hunting. He's looking for a chance. He wants to get the job done. He's going to be a lot closer now than he was before. I think if he's going to make it up, have a go now, this will probably be it. Has the BMW got the legs as they head up Mountain Straight? Can it get the job done? And he does. Pulls out. Is he having a look? No, Mitch able to hold position. Looked as though Sergey was going to have that job done, but Mitch able to hold position there, braking that little bit later than Sergey, holding that outside line, keeping that position for the moment.
Yeah, I think Sergey was quite close enough. He showed the nose, but he was still quite a long way back. Would have had to have been a pretty big lunge up at Griffin's Bend to make that one stick. Although once you do perk your nose up the inside of that corner, it's almost impossible on the outside to maintain position out there. It's so slippery and dirty off the racing line at that corner. And then for the rest of the lap, until you get down to Forest Elbow in the chase, it's all single file stuff. Sergey's about the same gap he was behind him last time. Let's see if it's close enough to get a good run. If he doesn't make a mistake this time out of the corner, pretty even between them. I'll tell you what, he's going to be too far back again this time. He is really strong at the chase though, so I think his opportunity might lie somewhere around the first sector of the track.
Mitch trying to break that draft, but yeah, once again, I'm not sure what it is across the top of the mountain, but you'd think that the BMW would play his strengths, like that's where his pace is going to be across the top, but it seems to be where his Achilles heel is at the moment. He'll get close enough as they come up Mountain Straight, but then across the top is where he has issues. If he's not close enough on down Conroy, or at least close enough on Mountain Straight, it's going to make that pass even harder to do. Seems like he definitely does have the legs, doesn't have the brakes at the moment that are giving him that advantage. It's allowing him to close up on Mitch, but obviously not. Oh, Mitch run very wide. This will be the opportunity I think he needs to finally get this done.
But McLeod's going to drive it down the right-hand side of the racetrack, and Sergey Harass is going to have to go the long way around at Griffin's Bend. As said, it's very tough to go on the outside of the corner. McLeod drops a couple tyres in the grass, and Harass is going to complete the move by the time they get to the corner, but too wide, and McLeod comes right on back at him. And Harris just blew a golden opportunity to get that one done. And now McLeod finds himself back in front in the battle for P5.
Yeah, that looked like he had that one sold, sealed, and delivered, but just ran that little bit too wide. Whether or not he tried to break a little bit deeper to sort of prevent Mitch from trying to get back up the inside, but just didn't get it pulled up, couldn't get it turned in, and it just ran the car wide. So now he's going to have to do that all over again. The opportunity, a mistake from Mitch, created the passing opportunity, but then another mistake from Sergey just reversed the situation. So now, back to where we were before. Sergey looking for an opportunity to get back up another spot. Mitch trying as hard as he can to defend. This should be about 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes left, so there should be 2 more times across the start-finish line. The time is running down. Sergey needs to make this move done, get this move done as soon as he can into the chase. He's having a bit of a look, but he's still not quite there. Again, just can't quite make that stick. Just can't do it in the spots where he's definitely got more pace than Mitch at the moment. You just can't quite get that stick, get that move to stick.
One of the characteristics of Bathurst, isn't it? We often see these big battles for the lead of the race in supercars even. At the end of the Bathurst 1000, 1,000 kilometers of racing around this racetrack, 161 laps, and still the top 2 are separated by nothing towards the end of the race, and it's such a hard track to pass at. Is it? We'll let the white flag next time by as well, because you can only really overtake on half the racetrack as long as you're strong. down the bottom of the mountain, you're almost protected. But here we go. They'll run side by side through here. McLeod out wide, out in the dirty stuff. Rear end, but a millimeter away from scraping along the pedigree fence, along the outside. And Sergei Hiras finally seals the move he's been trying to sign off on for quite some time. And now he occupies the final spot inside the top 5. Should be safe now with his speed down the bottom of the mountain. Because it's so hard to follow as well at the top, it's so easy to drop time that you gain at the bottom, and suddenly you're not close enough to make a move. So it ends up with this big game of cat and mouse, just waiting for someone to make a mistake for an opportunity to happen. Or, you wait for the end of the run where the tyres start to fade and someone's got better tyres than the other. That's why I love Mount Panorama.
Yeah, it's a challenge. It is a massive challenge for these drivers, and for these two, obviously the challenges are quite difficult. But Sergey managing to finally make that move stick, where I think he was looking to make that move go the whole time. Sort of seemed to where his strength was. Mitch still in the draft at the moment. And see, as a battle, actually, there's another battle emerged, I believe, at the moment. Having a look.
Yeah.
See, Paul Rogers, Stephen Corby.
Could choose a lap down just behind Rogers there. Rogers
Okay.
far off Corby. Corby sits in front of him on the racetrack, and Rogers was 8/10 quicker last time by, so the final lap it might get very close. Final lap, white flag on the screens for the drivers out there on the racetrack as they come across the start finish. Stripe, Reese, Gasol, we're already a third of the way through it. Looks like the battle for 5th probably resolved, barring the mistakes from Harris. Starting to really close up for 11th place now. Might be worth keeping an eye on this one as the final lap winds down between Corby and Rogers, because Rogers is right there with him as Corby runs a little bit wide through the final corner. Rogers with a big run down the main straight, but not close enough. He'll sit in behind him on the racing line, try to get the right exit off of Held Corner. He's about 3 car lengths behind him now. That'll cut down to at least 1 by the time they get down to turn 2. He's got a great run. Does Corby move to the inside to defend? He doesn't, so Rogers will pull alongside him. They almost make contact into Griffin's bend. Late on the brakes on the inside. Rogers dives through and takes away that 11th spot. And that move, in the end, a lot easier than it could have been for him, is out front. Reese Gasol out of the final corner will get it done. Here at Mount Panorama, he wins the VRS GT Sprint Series in Bathurst with a commanding victory, a margin in the end close to 20 seconds.
An absolutely dominating victory, and Ronnie Barman bringing it home for the Tifosi in 2nd place. Another great job. Just stayed out of trouble, ran his own race. Christian Gruber will come home in P3. It's a little bit of a quiet race for Christian, but once again, just got out on his own. And Leo with his fantastic drive back through the field.
About a minute for the rest of the field to come across the line with a big spread across the top 15. Ray Cobbing making his way down through the S's, the final car on the lead lap. Mitchell McLeod, what's he done? He's in the fence and he's going to lose spots. So Slaven Brasina will come across and take 6th position. McLeod's wrecked it on the final corner, found himself stuck against the tyres on pit entry. Florian von Grabowski comes across in 9th. McLeod continues to slide down the order. Paul Rogers then will take home 11th, maybe 10th, after his last lap effort to get by Stephen Corby. Christian Cord in 14th will come across just in front of the final car on the lead lap. Ray Cobbing, as they come through the final corner, McLeod slide down the order continues as he's still stuck on the edge of the pit lane. So he will be scored in 15th place. Let's take a look at your full results then here in the VRS GT Sprint Series on SimSpeed TV. here at Mount Panorama. 19.9 seconds, the margin from Gasul to Barman. Christian Guber coming across in third ahead of Leo Masnaga and Sergei Heras. Slaven Prosina and Andrei Efemenko, 6th and 7th. Florian Von Grabowski in 8th. Dan Kara-Constantis in 9th. And Paul Rogers running at your top 10.
We look at P11. Stephen Corby coming home. Minute 24 behind the leaders. David Piddard in 12th. 13th, Christian Cron. Ray Gobbing in 14th. Mitch McLeod come home P15. Having a quick look at replay, it looks as though he's actually run out of fuel. Might explain why he went to the pit lane. Albert Pedos Torrens in 16th. Jordan Murphy 17th. James Kutia 6th. 18th. 19th. Marcus Grob and John Peasnick. Of course, unfortunately, with that in the opening lap 20.
That is your field then for part 1 of the Friday night double take. We'll step away. If you're on YouTube, you can go to our channel and find the link for the Gander Outdoors Truck Series on there, on Facebook and Twitch. Don't go anywhere. We'll go for a break. We'll come back, and at 1:15, we'll go racing at Talladega.
This is fantastic. This is GT Racing right now.
He's got traction, he's going around the outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taking Anderson. Anderson's up to him.
Oh my God!
Big crash. Oh my goodness, half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys I want to make their way through the field very quickly. Oh, there we go. Oh no, that's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh my God.
God, what?